This is one of those instances where I watch a movie and then remember that there's more of them. So I just started watching all of them, and then I realized I should just go ahead and do a video. And I watched Mirror Mirror. And yep, there's 4 of these. But the question is, do they have a timeline? Do they have continuity? Or are we going to have 7 years of bad luck? We first see our reflection back in 1990 with Mirror Mirror. And it begins in what appears to be the 30s, based on the clothing and cars. And this big mirror is here. And we have 2 women, and they appear to be sisters. But one kills the other, which seems to have some effect on the old mirror. It then jumps a few decades, and some new owners are moving into the house, and they find the thing in the closet. There's a diary dated 1939, so that's likely when the opening was set, and Susan and her daughter move in. Susan may be afraid of a Zuni doll, and Megan may audition for a Culture Club cover band, and is starting at a new school where a class president campaign is going on. And look out, because this girl may got a gun, and their teacher is Ned Ryerson. Bing! Megan is befriended by Nikki, and she says that her dad died a few months ago. Meanwhile, Emmeline is reading about the previous owners, and this is actually the great Yvonne DiCarlo, Lily Munster herself. And on their first day there, their dog dies. The guy from the pet cemetery comes to pick it up, and it's Larry, Sans Daryl, Sans other Daryl. Megan wishes in the mirror that her father would come back, as she's visited by a ghoulish vision of him. And when her mom starts dating the pet cemetery guy, as you do, he has a hallucination of his own. Emmy reads that mirrors are used in witchcraft, calling demons up into our world, and that people could fall under their power, and a black cloth could be used to block that power. People that are mean to Megan start having negative effects, like the bully girl gets a nosebleed, and the teacher has a heart attack, and as she becomes more enamored with the mirror, she changes her look to like Lydia Dietz. Things take a turn when a guy spurns her, so a demon hand appears from the glass and kills him, and then makes his body vanish. When Nikki loses the election, Megan kills the winner for her and then tells her. And then she freaks out and gets in this car with the registration sticker that expires in December of 1989. So we're likely in 89 here, 50 years after the intro. We're told that back then it was one sister that called up the evil and the other killed her in order to try and stop it and stashed the mirror away. Emmeline thinks she knows how to close the gate, but Megan appears and kills her with a shard of glass. It eventually kills Susan, although Megan pleads it not to, and Nikki goes to try to stop it all, armed with a magic knife that Em gave her. Megan ends up taking her own life as a sacrifice to the mirror, and Nikki makes a wish that everything would go back to the way it was, and she finds herself transported back in time to the intro. The demon emerges from the mirror and then goes back, and Nikki covers it up, I guess now stranded in 1939. A sequel arrived 4 years later in 1994 with Mirror Mirror 2, Raven Dance. This one has a woman in a convent who seems to have lost her mind and is obsessed with a mirror. And hey, it's Ursa! And the nurse is good old Lambert. And she thinks Nicolette is crazy and takes the cover off the mirror, which sets things off. It's the same one from the last film, and they have the knife as well, but before it can be used, Nicolette disappears, and Sister Aja is full-chi blinded. It then jumps 17 years to an orphanage, and a band is playing a charity gig there, and one of the members finds the big shiner tucked away in a closet, and the cloth drops off. Mr. Belvedere's kid charge is here, and her little brother is withdrawn and obsessed with a violin. And when the punks pick on him, she wishes someone would teach them a lesson. So they all get zapped. Although I wish that the mirror had taken them literally and just suddenly had them be able to play their instruments like a lot better. Jeffrey befriends the miner, and when Marley recovers, she's visited by her evil older sister Hot Lips. She gets a doctor to check her out, and the last time we saw this guy as a doctor, he was operating on Charlton Heston. Rosalind is angry that she's not going to get a massive inheritance, so she's got Lasky to drug her to drive her crazy. Oh, and then William Sanderson is back, but looks quite different, and his name is Roger now, so I'm assuming that he may be a different character here. Weirdly, Sister Asa is still here, but she sure as hell doesn't look 17 years older. She looks exactly the same as the opening bit. And then Marley essentially talks to herself for like an hour.
Damn. My eyes. When is this gonna clear up? Hey, wait a minute. I can see this old mirror perfectly. Huh. This is so weird. You're the only thing that I can see.
But then Bruce freaking Banner shows up, and yeah, this was Mark Ruffalo's first film role, and he's Christian, and it's said that his mother was Nicolette. He lived there a few years back, but then up and left one day, so I guess he's supposed to be 17 years old, and he left a few years back, so these nuns just let a 14 or 15-year-old kid go off on his own, and we're like, oh well, kid had to follow his dreams. Meanwhile, Ruffalo was almost 30. He starts making moves on Marley, and again, supposed to be 17, and a raven that appears from the mirror kills Roger. Then it takes out the doctor, so Marley goes to Asa, and it's revealed that Christian is just the mirror, and only little Jeffrey can stop the evil. And Rosalind has a weird breakdown.
Lasky, I'm old and nobody cares. I'm old, look at those wrinkles. I hate this, I hate this. I'm not young anymore, I'm old, oh God.
And then the mirror, I guess, needs to prove that it watched young Sherlock Holmes or something. Everything comes to a head, and the kid gets pulled into it, and Marley stabs Christian. But oops, he's not evil. And a demon appears from the mirror, but Christian attacks it with the knife and stops it, or something. She then wishes it was all a dream. And yep, just like the first one, she's transported to the past and becomes Nicolette. And it loops again. So there's no date given and no connection to the first film. So I assume that the main action is in real time 1994, which makes this stuff in the past 1977. And this is likely a separate continuity, although I suppose after the time reset of the first film, the mirror didn't get stashed away, and instead it ended up in that convent. The next entry happened just 1 year later in 1995 with Mirror 3, The Voyeur. It starts with a woman in front of that mirror, and then we have eternal bad guy Billy Drago, but he's got a romantic scene? That's something you don't see every day. And oh hey, it's the house that shows up in like 100 made-for-video horror movies. And a couple of criminals meet up with a couple of the other guys on a bridge and have a shootout, and then one goes back home, and his wife is the woman in front of the mirror, and she has the magic knife as well, which she uses, and it's kind of hard to explain, but the weird editing style here and stream of consciousness storytelling makes it really hard to figure out what's going on. I think this guy's wife had an affair with Anthony, and she keeps appearing to him in his dreams. And I believe that the mirror shows her husband what happened, and all of that was the pre-credit sequence. 18 minutes worth of the movie. It then jumps 2 months? 2 months from what? What the hell even happened? And Anthony is here with his girlfriend, and oh, hey, Ruffalo again. Clearly no longer the Christian character, and is now named Joey, and he and Carolyn are having an affair. And Anthony discovers that mirror in the attic. He then starts having dreams, seeing Cassandra saying that she disappeared with Julio, and then a DEA agent shows up, and it's an American werewolf. And this is officially the second horror sequel from the mid-90s that involves a haunted mirror and David Naughton. Both Julia and Cassandra vanished 2 months ago, and a detective is looking for them. Cass's spirit tells him that she wished for this, and then I guess shows him a big shootout where Julio is gunned down. And then, yeah, if you were ever like, man, would I like to see Mark Ruffalo in a very awkward softcore sex scene, this movie has you covered. But be warned, the cost for it is about 3 Billy Drago sex scenes before it. Cass shows up and kills Carolyn, and then attacks Anthony, and there's a bunch of random stuff happening, but Anthony is pulled into the mirror while Joey is stabbed. And that's it. No time loop this time, and again, no plot connections to anything that came before, and no date either. So it's real time 95, and it's fine to have this in the same universe and say that after the reset in the last one, the mirror moved on and ended up in this house. This ends in 2000, 5 years later, with Mirror Mirror 4, Reflections. A kid looking for some sort of costume and his girlfriend break into an old warehouse, and there's a strange old-timey chimney sweep talking cleaning lady there.
There in a city there was an old biddy, hi-ho, hi-ho, hi. Ah. Oh, what a beastly mess. Like I've got bugger all to do.
And she finds the mirror and wakes it up, and it zaps her. But that all turns out to be a dream of Annika's, and her mom is wondering if you like what you see. And it seems that, like, that wasn't a dream, and her boyfriend was killed a year ago, and she hasn't left the house since. This group is planning on throwing a big, crazy costume party, and Annika reluctantly goes. And it's said that all of the artifacts there are from actual murders and tragedies, and they've made them into a sort of a haunted house. And the mirror is included. Suddenly, Annie and a few others are zapped, and when they wake up, everyone is gone, and they can't get out. Billy Drago is back, but he says his name is Frederick, so he's possibly a different character, although they're either in the mirror or something, so it's possible that Anthony is still trapped in there and changed his name? He says that he lost his love a long time ago, and everyone just seems terrible to everyone else and argues a whole lot, while the mirror just stands there. Something starts to attack them finally until a woman called the Countess randomly strolls in and says that there was a murder case at a convent where 8 people were killed, including 2 nuns. They didn't find the bodies, but did find the mirror. And I guess they're maybe talking about the second film. The details don't quite line up, though, so it's unclear if they're trying to connect them or not. She then says that there's a protector, and she thinks that it's Frederick, but he instead turns out to be the demon, and he kills the Countess. She makes a wish into the mirror and asks it to show her the truth, and she realizes that Ian is still trapped in the mirror dimension, not dead yet, and she can save his soul, and I guess does? I don't know. It's not very clear. But what also isn't clear is a date, since one is never shown or talked about, and there's no clear link to the others as well. So we'll just say real time 2000. So there you have it, 4 movies that don't really have any sort of continuity or timeline. They're basically 4 separate films that you can treat this as an anthology series. There's nothing to link these movies except for the existence of the mirror and that magic dagger, which doesn't even really seem to do the same thing from movie to movie. They can be connected. It's fine if this is one continuity, but it probably isn't. And yes, of course, that other Mirror Mirror movie, the Snow Whitey one, is not a part of this franchise at all. But yeah, let me know if you've seen these, if you've heard of these, if you enjoy these. Tell me that down below in the comments. I'd like to hear that. Also, if you enjoyed the video, just click on that like button. And if you enjoy what you see on this channel, obviously hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you get notified when new videos come out. And if you think about it, go to my Patreon page at patreon.com/movietimelines and help support this channel and get more videos made. I'll thank you for doing that, and I thank you for keep on coming back and watching more videos, and we'll see you again very shortly for another great one. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.